Hello, everyone, and welcome into today's episode of the Maple and Blossom podcast. I am one of your co hosts, Maple, and with me, as always, is Blossom.
Hello, everybody. I am Blossom.
How are you doing today, Blossom?
I have the giggles, apparently. You know, maybe if my co-host wasn't a clown, then maybe there should be more professional start though. But here
Hey,
we
I don't
are.
know what you're talking about. I'm an
Oh,
extreme professional.
oh yeah, of course you are.
So, today we are covering A Sign of Affection as episode 21.
Oh,
So,
we are at
let's jump
episode
in.
21 already. It's just
I know,
like
right? It's
it's like,
been
oh my gosh,
flying.
we got here. Like it has been like so crazy. Like I remember when we got to 10 and we did the Makria, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
wow, this is like neat. Where like, oh wow, it's like so quick. It's like we are just going by fast. Before you know it, we'll be at episode 100.
It seems like it's been flying along like that. I can tell you that.
But like I think like a lot of people who do podcaster, they do it like once a week, right?
Yeah, we're doing twice.
And we have to do twice. We're not. We don't have to, but we are
Wow.
choosing to do it.
Yeah, hi. We are choosing to go twice a week.
Hey, it's just been fun. So far, it's like been good. I haven't been overwhelmed by it so far. So at least that is like good. At least.
Well, and I think it also helps too that we kind of got a little bit more organized with our scheduling. It kind of makes it easier for us when one of us, has time. We just can kind of go ahead a little bit and get ourselves up front of things and a good jump on stuff.
Yeah, like I know I ended up watching. I watched this like sometime like last week. So like I was ahead of
Yeah.
like I haven't watched like anime in like a whole week, which is actually funny to like say that
Yeah.
on like
Well,
recording.
I mean, you kind of expected it because you knew you were going to be busy this week, so well,
Yeah,
you kind
this
of went
week's like
ahead. So
especially busy.
yeah,
But that's why I was like, okay, let me get ahead just in case that I would be more like I could have probably watched, but it would just made it easier if I just didn't
yeah,
have to watch anime.
yeah,
So don't worry, things are like be more relaxed for next week. So I'll definitely be catch up. So it is
yeah.
okay. Okay, so yeah, we can you want to jump us right into episode 1?
Yep. So yeah, so episode one it starts off with our kind of main character. She's kind of walking around and she's kind of looking around at the snow as it's falling, and she's taking pictures, and she's heading to her train to the train station. So we then see her getting on the train, and this is where you kind of learn as there's a bunch of chaotic noise around her. It zooms in on her and it becomes silent, and it kind of your first indication that she's deaf. Um, and then as she's kind of sitting there looking around, she's approached by a foreigner who kind of startles her, and she can't really fully read his lips to know what he's saying because obviously he's not speaking Japanese. So he's kind of pointing at like a brochure, and she kind of suspects that he's asking for directions, but again, she can't really fully understand what he's saying. Um, then, of course, this is where we meet the other main character, Itsuomi, who basically shows up and sees that hears that he's asking for directions, so he goes and he helps. Um, and then she, of course, is standing there watching the two of them interacting, and she's like, I wish I understood what they were saying. Like, I don't really fully know what they're saying, kind of thing. And then he turns to her and he's trying to, interact with her. And then this is where she kind of shows that she's like, she kind of signs a little bit showing she's deaf. Um, and he asks if she can read lips, and she said she can read a little bit. And he kind of, they kind of discover that they almost go to the same kind of college. Um, yeah, so that's basically where it starts off. And I mean, first impression, I will say, generally speaking, for the most part, I really do like the art style. I like a lot of the background art style, like a lot of their like buildings and the way they draw the trees and the flowers and a bunch of the other background stuff was really, really well done. Most of the characters, I find most of the women are well done. The
I have
guys,
one singular complaint about
it's the
the
lips.
animation.
It's the
It's
lips.
the dips.
Yeah,
The
it's
dips
the lips.
are. I'm just like, why are they draw like that?
Yeah,
I'm just like, they are
the
so like.
the girls I don't find it quite as prominent as the guys.
No,
The
because
guys I find they're so stand
like
out.
for the most part, like girls like wear lipstick or gloss
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something. So like
gloss
even
or
in a lot
something.
of other and even in like many anime, the girls' lips are a little bit more like animation.
Well, they're
But
a little bit more softer and they're just drawn a little bit differently.
yeah, the guys ones though in this one, I'm just like, it's an eyesore for me. I'm
It
just like
is.
it pulls down the score for me
Especially that
a
one
little
guy
bit.
with like the especially that one guy with the donut lips. Like he looks like donuts on his face.
Maybe he just finished eating donuts. I don't know.
I remember looking at it like, what is with this guy?
So speaking of girls, we are quickly introduced to Rin, who is Yuki's friend from school. And the one thing I really like about this anime is they are college, right? So they are actual
Yeah,
adults. So that is like
I know.
neat. And I like how they kind of like they still had like a little bit of the school aspect because
Yeah.
you know they're like in college, but not much of the anime has to do with the college. Though it's like so Yuki Odin tells Yuki, right, about it's about the bar.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
she basically Yuki basically talks about Itsuomi, kind of describing him and what happened on the train, and
It
then
showed me.
yeah, Itsuomi. Yeah, I just call him Itsu, so that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
So Rin basically pulls out a phone and says, "Oh, is it this guy?" And then she says, "Yes, yes," and she goes, "Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's in the same kind of like what is it travel club, hospitality club? I don't know specifically what they end up calling it.
Oh, yeah, I know like he traveled and he helps like uh he goes visit other like
Country.
country,
He goes
right?
to visit
And
other countries a lot,
helps
but
out.
yeah, it's like some kind of club they have at school. It's like a travel club or some kind of club like that. And and she says, yeah, she sees him sometimes. And then that's when she mentions that she actually knows his boss, who's his the boss at the bar he works, which happens to be his cousin. And then she says that she has a crush on the boss.
Yeah, I actually like that art development a lot
Yeah,
throughout this anime. I think that's a
especially
really
early
cute
on. It's
one, and I think it's
especially
like
early
so
on.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah. So they make their way to the bar, right?
yeah, yeah,
And uh Kyoya is the one who owns the bar, right?
yeah. We end up finding his name is Kyoya.
Kyoya. Yeah, Kyoya. Okay, so this is one of this part was weird here where Itoi like grabs Yuki's face to like make eye contact
Well, he
with
grabs her
her.
top of her head. Yeah, the top of her head. And he
Yeah,
kind
she
of lifts
grabs
her
the
head
top.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And it's
yeah.
I'm just like that. I thought that was weird. I'm sorry. I just like
I think in a lot of ways, I think for him, it's because he knew that she's deaf and she couldn't really see. And I think for him, where he grew up a lot overseas, it's a little bit more acceptable. And I don't want to say acceptable, but people do tend to be a little bit more direct and hands-on that way, like tapping you on your shoulder to get your attention and these kind of things, right? Like if I wanted your attention, I would tap on your shoulder. I wouldn't just sit there and go, oh, sumimasen, 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 until you decide to turn around, right? There would be like I would tap you on your shoulder and say, hey, can you? Or if I wanted you to move aside, I'd tap your shoulder and like, hey, can you, excuse me. I want to get through kind of thing, right? So it is very definitely on this side of things. It is very much more of a little bit more hands on that way. So I kind of brushed it off more as that was just more of like a cultural difference because of the fact he did grow up in Germany pretty much most of his life and where he does travel a lot. But I was with you too, where I was like, especially him being back, like he should definitely have known better that this is not really something that's the norm here a little bit.
I just thought it was a bit weird. But the
Yeah,
neat thing
yeah,
about Itomi is he speaks three language and is like studying a few other.
yeah, yeah, and he kind of mentions it here because he hands her a whiteboard so she can basically kind of help kind of write things down to make things easier. Because obviously none of them know sign language there, so um, so they basically ask like how many language does he speak, and he tells them all the languages he speaks, and they're kind of like excited and like kind of like impressed with
Yeah, anyone should
everything.
be
Like, oh my
impressed.
god,
Anyone should be impressed with that.
yeah,
Honestly,
yeah.
learning one other language was hard enough. I'm not going to learn another language. No, thank you. I have no interest in any of that. So, mm,
So yeah, so at this point, this is where some other strangers come in, and
how's your
uh,
language learning going, huh? Hmm?
it's fantastic.
Yeah,
Technically that would be my third language, so
that is true. Yeah, that would be actually your third. Mm,
that would be my third. Yeah, hi.
forgot you know French.
That's
Mm.
right. I do.
Oui,
So
oui. That is like the extent. That
that's the
is like
extent
the
of what you know.
extent, though. Yeah. That is it. Oh, that is it. At least you know like a lot more Japanese than I know French.
Now that is
So
true.
and we both connect with we both make contact with the language that well actually which one was your first language?
English.
Was it? Okay, it was English.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't learn French until we started going to school. So over here,
Oh,
specifically where I live in Canada, it's a requirement. We have to learn 12 years of French.
okay. Okay. Yeah, they sort of do the same thing with English here, though realistically not many people like actually take it seriously, so
Yeah, that's true.
and that is our culture corner. A segment we have not had in
In a little while.
like 15 episode now, so it just kind of came up in the subject because of just
Yeah.
the nature of the anime. But yeah, let's go back into the anime.
Yeah, so as they
Sorry.
show up, she sees that there's foreigners, and she understands that they're foreigners because she's having trouble understanding what they're saying from even just reading lips.
It's just
Um,
how they speak, right?
yeah, yeah. So
Like
she
I'm
assumes
pretty
that they are.
sure, like obviously, but that might be too big model. Like if I turned off my sound, like if I muted myself, but I was on camera with you, you could probably tell when I'm speaking English or Japanese. You could. It just looks different, I think.
I don't know. Try it. Let me see.
Ah, sumimasen. Ah,
Not
I'm
really.
sorry. No,
It looks about the
yeah,
same. There might
yeah,
be a little
no,
bit different. There
wow, I
might be a
can't
little
believe
different.
it. Yeah, it's probably, I don't know. Maybe just someone who, I guess someone who only speaks one language, maybe it like be look different. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know. She says it looks different, so I'm sure it must look at least a little different. I
yeah,
don't know.
maybe a little. So yeah, so again, she sees the foreigners and they're having a conversation, and then one of them ends up kissing him on the cheek, and then she's kind of like sitting there all surprised, like, "What's going on? Like, what? Why is she doing that?" And of course, she starts to get a little bit frustrated because she's now in a large group of speakers, and she's just feeling a little bit overwhelmed because it's kind of like I don't know what they're saying. They're talking so quickly, and I can't quite figure out what they're saying. So I'm kind of like just sitting here, kind of taking everything in. Um, so at this point, this is where the girls decide that she has to go. Um, so she gets out and she kind of walks out of the bar, and she kind of think in her head like, ah, "Don't worry, next time I'll ask him. I'll ask him for his contact details next time." Um, so he ends up walking out after them and kind of asked if they would like him to walk them home. So Rin says, using her head, "Oh, I actually live close by, but you can go ahead and walk Yuki home." And it kind of gives her this like thumbs up as they're walking away, like, "Yeah, you got this." So they end up walking, and then as they're walking, she's kind of like not fully paying attention to where she is, and she's walking across the pedestrian line into more of the road. And there's this bike that comes by, and of course she can't hear it, so he like grabs a hold of her and kind of pulls her in, and he's kind of like, you really got to pay attention where you're going, kind of thing. And then he ends up holding her hand. Well, what she calls holding her hand, but he's really just like gripping a hold of her because he's really just trying to keep her close so she's not wandering off, essentially. But it's not like an intimate hand holding or anything like that.
Yeah, this is. He was very straightforward.
Yeah.
This person, right? He told me it is very straightforward.
Yep.
Like he knows what he wants, right? And at sometimes, few times, it almost he's like forcefully polite. It's so weird where he's like he does something that's like very like straightforward and like aggressive, like not like
I don't want
physically
to say aggressive, but
aggression.
like no, but like he'll like reach out and grab her arm, like without
Yeah,
without
he'll do it.
hesitation,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But then afterwards he'll be like, "Is this okay?" Like you should probably ask first
Yeah.
instead of like just doing it like
Like
so.
I can understand in the moments of like distress, like again, like grabbing her to save her from the bike. Okay, I get that. Like that's okay. Um, but then when he like as he saves her and they start walking again, then he reaches, grabs her arm and like holds on to it. Okay, those are the ones you'd be like, okay, would you like to hold on to me to make sure you're okay, like you don't drift off again. Like I can
Mm.
see stuff like that would be more, like you said, more appropriate for him to kind of ask in these moments. But again, he just kind of, like I said, just reaches out and grabs her and just kind of does it. Um,
Okay, so that's mostly like, and then they share contact info with each other, and he takes
yeah,
interest in like sign language, right? And that's mostly the end of episode one.
yeah. She
And
basically,
if we keep spending 17 minutes on each episode, this episode would be like
hey,
two,
hey,
3 hours, so it'd be
hey,
great.
hey, hey. We weren't spending that much time on this. There's a lot of other stuff. But yeah, so she basically asks him. There is one more thing that I will add, is because it's a cute moment. Is she asks for his contact details? He says sure, and then she texts him right away, and she says, "I want to ask you a question." And she says, "How big is the world?" And then he replies, "It's huge." And then he texts her, he says, "I want you to let me into your world."
Yeah,
And
that is super cute, I
it
guess.
was so cute. And then you can see her, she's kind of like turning back to him, she's like waving her hands and jumping around, like all with this like stupefied happy look on her face.
Okay,
And it was really cute.
so episode
Episode
two.
2. Yeah.
This is where like I early on I had a lot of problems with their interactions where a lot of them felt forced and I didn't really think they were very cute and it almost seems like early on he really only cares about her because she's deaf and he
Yeah.
can learn like a new language because it's already established that he enjoys learning language. So it almost felt like in the beginning for me their interactions were solely based on instead of building a relationship, it was him just using her as like a teacher to like learn sign
Or at
language.
least
So
curious. At least
yeah,
his
he was like
curiosity
curious about
initially.
it.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hinted because she also says to herself when she's talking to Rin, she kind of stops and has this moment where she's thinking to herself, because she's talking about the night before and what had happened. And then she kind of thinks to herself, she kind of questions, like, is he really actually, could he actually be interested in me, or is he really just more interested in the fact that I'm deaf and he's really just curious about sign language?
Mm.
Um, because it is kind of talked about how he does travel a lot and he is very interested in those things, right? So she kind of thinks about it where his comment about, he loves learning languages and he loves learning new things, that maybe this is all it is. And to be fair, it really could have been like that at the beginning, which again is not necessarily anything wrong or really anything bad, because I mean it could start off that way and then grow as they get to know each other, right? So
Mm.
but it is more intended at the beginning because the way the two of them are talking, where it is more of like, I want a relationship with you, but you really don't kind of get that feeling initially early on, like you said. So of course they see him walking, he's just walking past him, he's not even like paying attention, and then Rin kind of like yells at him to get his attention. um, and then he approaches them, and of course, this is where we start to see another character, which is Oshi, who is her childhood friend. And he kind of spots the two of them together, and it immediately kind of piques his interest. Like, okay, well, what? Who's that? What the hell's going on here? Um, kind of thing. Um, so as Itsu is talking with them, he's basically saying, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm actually heading off because I'm traveling." Um, this was especially a problematic for me, especially early on in the first few episodes, where he does travel an awful lot, and he is kind of missing through parts of the anime.
Mm. Yeah, he
And
definitely is.
well, and like you said, this is the part where, like, again, I could see their early relationship if it was more of like a friendship thing, where he's traveling a lot and they're sharing their memories, and then they kind of grow together later on as a relationship. But again, like early on, it's like she, especially her, she's like immediately crushing like this love bug kind of thing, right? And again, like you said, it does definitely feel a little bit forced at the beginning, because again, it's like he's not really there interacting with her. And she says several times like he'll go days without talking to her while he's traveling, and then he does like a little quick interaction, and then it's gone again, right? So again, you kind of get that sense where it's like, okay, like what's going on here? Um, so yeah, so of course, this is where, as Itsu kind of goes off, then Oshi kind of asks her a little bit, like, okay, like who is he? Like, who is this guy to you? Like, why are you talking to him?
So
Um,
I found this also like I put here that Oishi worries about Yuki,
yeah, yeah.
but in a harsh way.
Oh
Not
yeah, yeah.
like it's like he's just like very like attacking him like or like almost saying like you really think that this person can actually like you like you're deaf like come on like like stop like don't waste your time
There
with this sort of thing.
There was a
I
lot of
must.
moments. There was a lot of
Mm,
moments in this, especially with his interactions, where he definitely comes off as extremely passive aggressive towards
oh yeah.
not just her, but just the whole deaf community in general.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, and then like you said, he's very harsh. It's like you can even tell like with his signing, where his signing is very like sharp. Like you can almost, if you were
And
sitting there
she even
listening to
makes
her,
note of that.
you would
She
you
even
would hear him
says.
almost slapping his hands together, like as he's like
Mhm.
hitting them.
And Yuki even makes a note of this at in
Yeah,
an episode like he's like signing so heavy. His signs are heavy,
yeah.
right?
She's
Like
like, it's very
there's like a
sharp and
lot of
very
yeah. There's a
pointed.
lot of emotion behind them. Yeah, it's very
Yeah,
pointed.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So yeah, so again, it goes through this, and then she's kind of like, in her own way, she's kind of like, leave me alone. Like, I got this. Like, go away.
It's like yeah,
don't,
I'm
don't.
adult, right? Like
Yeah, leave me be.
mm-hmm. And
And
that's mostly that's pretty much
generally, that's
episode
pretty much it. Like, there's
two.
really not much. Like, Itsu asks
When
her if
he
she wants like a
does.
souvenir.
Yeah, so that's like the last thing I had here. Is like Itsumi
Yeah,
when he comes back, he gives her like a souvenir from where he visit, which is neat. That like he keeps getting her like these little things like throughout the anime. It's like, but yeah, that's kind of what I had for episode
yeah.
two.
That's generally it. She rushes off. She again. She sees the two of them are like he shows up saying, he's got a gift for her. He gives her the gift. Um, and of course, she's at university and she rushes off to see Rin to kind of show the gift. And then Rin is kind of sitting with her friend, so she doesn't want to interrupt it. Uh, and then this is where, again, Oshi goes over and approaches her, and he's being, again, his aggressive self. And then this is where Rin rushes over and kind of like grabs her from behind, like Yuki, and then he's like, she doesn't like that. Don't do that. Um, and then that's pretty much it. She bumps into Itsu as Rin kind of like leaves off, kind of thing, and then Oshi kind of walks off, and he's kind of like, again, seeing the two of them, kind of like, oh, okay, like go away.
Okay,
Um,
I had iPad malfunction for episode 3 and episode 4.
yeah, I know, I
Like
remember.
I was taking like all these notes, and
Yeah,
then the application I used for my note crashed, and I lost everything for
yeah,
episode 4 and episode 3. So I have 2 lines for episode 3, and it is Yuki writes down sign language for Itsumi, like he
yeah.
makes like book, she makes book for him,
She's
which
working
I
on the
think is
guide
like
for
really
him.
neat. And then
Yep,
they also go back to the bar for a little bit. I
yep,
outside of that, as far as like details, this is all new. I'm so
yep.
sorry.
It's okay. So, so she's working on the, like you said, she's working on the sign language book to go to the bar. So he's asking her questions about her hearing, kind of thing. Um, just basic stuff like, oh, like are the hearing aids like? Can you actually hear things? Like, do you actually hear sounds and those kind of things? And she's like, no.
I
So
think she said that she needs the earplugs because the she can hear sounds, but everything's all distorted, so she
yeah,
doesn't know where it's
yeah,
coming from. So this
yeah,
muffles that for
yeah,
like her sake. Yeah, but
yeah.
she can't actively like hear. Mm.
Yeah. So like right now, like that's what she said. She can't exactly hear everything specifically. So she ends up giving him the guide, and he tries practicing a few of them from the book. And then he messes up, so she corrects him. And then he said the book is actually, he said, I'm probably not going to actually use this because it's actually really hard for me to follow just the pictures. And then he says, I'd rather you just teach me in person rather
Yeah, I
than
feel
trying to
like
read from the book.
with exciting, which it's hard to like fully understand how the movements work from a
Yep.
book. It's not like with Japanese where, I could write down like what words mean, right? And stuff like
Yeah.
that. So at least
Yeah.
you can get like a bit of an understanding and things like that. But for that, it's like it's almost like you need to just know from practice, and that's
Well,
kind
that's
of
just
it.
it. Yeah. So then at this point, this is where we see two of his friends show up drunk, which is one of them is Emma and the other one is Sheen. Um, so Emma is immediately all over Itsu and she's like clinging to him and kind of like hugging him and wrapping her arm around his arm. And at this point, Yuki is basically wondering like, okay, who are they, kind of thing, right? And then she ends up asking Kyoya if they're dating, and he kind of shakes his head no, saying that they're not. Um, so she's a little bit kind of weirded out and uncomfortable about this. So she kind of gets up and is like, okay, I'm gonna go on my way home. Um, and then he kind of mouths to her like, be careful on the way home. And then she says it's been about 4 days since she talked to him, because he was apparently traveling again. And then
Chaka.
yeah, so she ends up texting him and asks if he is, or she hasn't talked. No, sorry, she hasn't talked to him in 4 days, and she wonders if he's traveling or if he's actually here. So she ends up texting him, and she says, like, "Are you still in Japan?" And he says yes, and he says he's at a laundromat, and he asks her if she wants to meet up. She agrees. She says yes, and she rushes out the door, and she heads off because she's only got a couple hours until her curfew. So at this point, this is where she runs past Ochi, um, who basically looks at her and is like, "What are you doing out so late?" kind of thing. He's got that look like he's surprised. So he ends up throwing a tissue and kind of hits her in the back of the head with it, like a little bag of
I
tissue.
do remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he scolds her for being out late, and he's yelling at her like, "Why are you out late? Like, who are you gonna go see? You're gonna go see that guy, kind of thing. And she's like, look,
Yeah.
I gotta go. She's like, look, I gotta go. Like I'm late on time. I gotta go. So he goes and she starts rushing off again, and he goes and he throws, again another thing at the back of her head, and she's like, how many things does he have? And he's like,
Yeah.
where are you going? Are
Again,
you going to
it's
that
like
guy?
another tissue box there, and he's
Yeah.
just like, how many tissues does he
How
have?
many does she
Yeah.
have? And then he's going at her like, are you going to see that guy? Like, what's going on? Like, what is this attention with you? Are you guys dating? And he's like really gonna kind of like grilling her and going at her about it. And
Mm.
again, she kind of like brushes him off, like, look, I gotta go, like, kind of like leave me alone. And then she rushes off and she heads into the laundromat. So she goes and she sits down. This was just funny for me. So she goes and she sits down beside him, and he doesn't say anything to her. He just gets up and he walks over and he buys a drink because he sees like she's kind of breathing heavy a little bit. So he walks over and he hands it to her, and then she goes, "Oh, thank you," and she like reaches for her purse to like pay him back. He's like, "No, don't pay me back for it." And then he sits down, and he looks at her, and he goes, that actually looks good. Can I actually have some yen so I can go buy one for myself?" So she gives him some money. He goes, he buys some, and then he comes back and he hands her a coin from another country. Um, and he basically says, "Here," and he shows it to her. And then he basically asks, he's like, would you like to see more of these kind of thing? Um, because I'll show you sometime. Like I won't show you the coins right now, but we can work something out later. And then this is where again, like you say, like he points to the fact that his interest seems a little bit more like interested in her language and her deafness, because he does mention he's like the world of sign language is so interesting to him. Um, and then of course he asked if she would like to get to know him a bit better, and he wants her to teach him the sign language for more, which she shows him. Um, and then she kind of goes and kind of like leans in and kind of leans against his chest a little bit. So he basically walks her home, and she asks if, because she can't get the image out of her head about Emma like latching on to him, and she asks if the two of them are dating, and he says no, they're just friends. And then he goes, "Well, I have a question about you. What about that guy I always see you with?" So he asks about Oshi, and she says, "No, he's just a friend who happened to go to the same school and in college that she was. So kind of like just a childhood friend kind of thing." Um, so she ends up asking, when can I see you next, kind of thing, and he says, "Well, work something out to kind of hang out next time." Um, and then he ends up wandering over to his apartment, and at this point we see Emma kind of waiting outside his door, waiting, like his apartment, the main building door, waiting for him to show up. She got like a bag with beer, and she's saying, "Oh, I'm gonna stay over." And
Doesn't she stay over by herself?
yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
he
So
just
he
leaves
basically
to
goes
go.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he
Mm.
basically goes in and he tells her, he's like, "Look," as they're walking, he's like, "Look, I only let you stay here last time because Sheen was there with you, well, like was with you, kind of thing." And then she like clings on to him as they're walking up to his door, and he was like, "Look," he's like, "it's snowing out. You can stay here because of that." He goes, "But I'm not. I'm leaving for a while." And then he kind of leaves her alone in his apartment, and you kind of see Emma sitting there, and she's drunk, and she's like cursing him out. She's like powering back the drinks, cursing them out, and then that's when she sees the sign language book, and she's kind of like in her head, like, "Okay, why is he learning sign language? Like that's weird." Um, and then you see him wandering off, and he stops in at his cousin's place, Kiyoya, and he knocks on the door and says, "Can I stay here?"
Yeah. Okay. I think I remember a little bit of that. That's the
Yeah,
episode, though, right? That's how it
yeah,
ends.
that's the whole
Mm.
episode. Um,
Again, it's all you, because all I have on episode 4 is the group go shopping.
I know
That's kind of it.
that's
That's
generally the
what...
majority of it.
Okay,
So
good. It's just like a basic like anime shopping trip.
that's
Okay.
basically it. So like
Okay,
Rin
good.
texts her, like Rin texts Yuki and says that she's going shopping with the boss for supplies, but she's a little too nervous to be in the car alone with him. So she asked if, can you and Itsu come along with us? Um, because that's more, I feel comfortable like that, right? So this is the part again where it shows, Itsu showing up at Kyoya's house and says, I'm gonna crash here, and then he's like, yeah, come on in. And then we see Emma texting Sheen, basically asking him to go out for a drink after he's done work because she wants to complain about Itsu and how he doesn't care about her. So you then see Yuki running into Oshi, who keeps questioning her and keeps grilling her about, why she was out so late, where she was going. And at this point, Yuki had already texted, Itsu and got the approval for the going out shopping. So she's rushing. She's trying to go to the train station to go meet them, and she's all like excited. And then she runs into him, and she's kind of like, I really did not want him to kind of run into him. So he keeps bugging her because they're on the train together, and he keeps bugging her. Like, where are you going? Where are you going? And he's like almost like softly chopping her in the head as she's sitting down, and she's just completely ignoring him. She's just staring at her phone and just ignoring him. Um, so he ends up, kind of like sitting down beside her, and he kind of like rests. He kind of try to play with her hair, which I found was just odd. And she kind of like looks annoyed and kind of like swats him away, like, go away. And then he kind of like rests his head on his shoulders. He's kind of like pouting for like the rest of the trip. Um, so the two of them gets off, and so she takes off and she starts running to go where she's supposed to meet Itsu. And she's just again chasing after her and trying to scold her.
Is
Um,
this where Itomi like blocks her
yep,
view of
yep,
okay, yeah.
yep.
And
So
this is
this
the
is
end of
where
the
she
episode,
runs
right?
in.
This is their confrontation. Like their
No,
first
no,
like
it's not quite the end of the episode because
mm.
there's the rest of it is just the shopping trip.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
he basically goes,
This
he
is like
wraps
the
his arm
last
around.
big part
It's
then
the
of
last
the
big part. Yeah,
episode.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So he like wraps his arm around her and he's like hiding her face while the two of them are like staring at each other and like kind of going at each, like almost in a way going at each other through their heads, like, like, what do you want? What are you doing? Like, go away, kind of thing, right?
Mm.
Um, and then he basically scolds her, like, don't touch her like that. Like, she doesn't like to be grabbed like that. And Ichigo basically tells him that, oh, Yuki told me it's okay as long as it's me.
Yeah, and of course in this moment, or she just he's just like now fuming,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like he is just so mad, right? And like of course like Yuki like she could feel like the tension, right? Like she's like,
Which she
I
can
don't know, I
understand. Like, she's looking up at him and she can see there's something on his face. And then as she kind
yeah,
of like she leans down from his where his arm is blocking her, and she looks over and she sees Oshi's face for the first time, and you can see he's super angry. And now she's
mm-hmm.
kind of like, okay, well, what are they talking about? Like, what happened? And he's kind of like, oh, Yuki, let's go, and he kind of puts his arm around her as they kind of walk away. Um, and then this is where she turns back and she looks at Oshi again, and he signs, you fool, you baka.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
So, and then this is basically where his cousin is kind of sitting there with Rin at first, and so Kyoya is sitting with Rin, and he asked her, "Do you think Yuki has feelings for Itsu?" And she's like, "Why is that like a bad thing?" And he's like, "Well, he's basically more interested in chasing his dream than any relationship. That's more how he's always been, right?"
Yeah,
Um,
like I think he said, if I remember right, I've never seen him like actually like into like a girl like this. Like
yeah,
he's never been seriously into like a girl
no,
before. The
no,
way like I feel like he is with Yuki. Mm.
not yet, but you see it later on throughout this. So as they're walking up, as him and her are walking up, he's basically again holding onto her hand. But it's not like the intimate hand holding. He's just pulling her basically. But of course, the two of them are still shocked by the contact, right? So they're almost like, oh, what's going on? Like I've never seen him like this. What's going on? And then he kind of explains that she almost got hit by a car, so he's just basically holding her hand. Um, but as they're shopping, so you see them shopping and they're being cute. She's like, "Oh, look at this! I really want this." She's like, "Okay, yeah, I'll buy it for you." Like whatever, kind of thing, right? Um, but as it kind of winds down, Rin basically says like, "His cousin told me that the tone he's using with you is super affectionate, and it's one he's never actually heard him use with anybody before." And again, it's just it's really cute because it kind of again puts her perspective into things, right? So the two of them are wandering along, just her and him, and they're talking. He says, "Have you ever traveled overseas before?" And she says, "No." And she kind of explains that she's actually heard that deaf people actually get hooked a lot on foreign travel because they actually have an easier time communicating because foreigners are so much they're used more to using gestures, they're more open to it. So she said
Yeah,
sometimes it's
like
much easier.
yeah, that is true.
Yeah, so she says it's actually much easier for a lot of deaf people to communicate with foreigners when they're
Like
abroad.
a lot of food, like the when I was in Medica, right? They do a lot of pointing. Like if you need to know something or go somewhere, they point a lot. That's not
Yeah,
really like thing here. It's kind of more rude, but yeah. And then
yeah,
like a lot of like actual like shrugging or a lot of talking with hand happens like so
yeah,
often. Like when I'm a member, if from America, it's like happen a lot. So
yeah,
I think it's more. Yeah, that is actually I never think about it like that, but yeah, it is true. Like there is more like when we speak we kind of just speak,
yeah.
we don't like move around really a whole lot, I don't think
Yeah.
so.
So at this
Mm,
point, they're back at the car and they're starting to like pack up a bit. So Itsu ends up asking Rin like, "Hey, would you actually like alone time with Kyoya?" And she's kind of like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay, well, I'll go ask him to go for a drive that you want to go for a drive, and I'll walk with Yuki home." Kind of like I'll go walk her back home, kind of thing, right? So Ichi basically goes to Yuki and says, we're gonna leave our stuff with them, and then we're gonna head back on the train together. Um, so the two of them end up riding the train together, and then they get off. And as they're walking home, she basically blurts out almost like, "Hey, would you like to go eat?" She's like super like, oh like, kind of like shy and like like kind of blurts it out. And he's like, eh. This is the thing too, where he's like so nonchalant about some of these things. Where he's like, "No," he's like, "I don't want to. I'm just gonna go home." And she's kind of like immediately has to like this stunned look on her face, like, "He threw me down." She's like, shut down right away. He's like, but he's like, "Actually, would you like to just go to my place and eat?" And then
and
she's
that's
kind of
where
like,
episode 5
"What?"
is.
And then yes,
Yeah,
this is where this ends, and this is where episode 5 begins.
and that was 20 minutes of blossom, oh sorry, of maple.
Maple.
Yeah, episode 5 I actually I got note though, so it is okay. So Yuki
I
goes to somebody's place, and he this is really neat because he like really shows her more about the places that he visits, right? Because he
yeah
has all these souvenirs from all the places, and they talk more about their childhood. And he's very curious about how life was for her
yeah
growing up being deaf, right? And we learned that his parents are from Germany, and he used to live there, right? And
yeah
life was hard there a little bit for him too. And from what I know, she doesn't. She lives with her mother, right?
Yeah, no, she has both parents, but you primarily only see her with her mother. Like she doesn't
Okay,
indicate
yeah,
that her
that's what I
mother's
thought.
single, but he
Mm-hmm.
ends up asking her like, "Do your parents know sign language?" She's like, "No," and he's like, "Oh," and he's like, "How do you guys
That
communicate?"
yeah, like if I if I ever have a child, right, and then like they were deaf or something, I feel like I make it like very important task to
to
learn sign
learn.
language, right?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
oh, that's gotta be like so sad
Yeah.
for like your child, right? Like you're almost excluding them
Hmm.
from life. So I don't know. I think that was like a bit that's
That
sad.
definitely
But
took me back.
the sad thing is like it probably is more common than you think, right? Because the
Yeah,
thing too is
yeah,
like, okay, well, now if you have someone who's deaf, now as a parent your life is just infinitely harder, so you might have to
yeah,
work harder, like you might have less time to try to even learn sign language too, right? You don't have all the time in the world to learn a language when you are adult. So I can understand, but like the fact that she knows none at all, like at least learn some basic thing. That's
yeah.
kind of where I'm
Well,
like
exactly.
taken aback, where like not only don't they know, they literally know nothing, and they never even like really tried, from what I gathered.
No, no, and that's exactly it. So at this moment, she also basically says too that they use their smartphone to communicate, and writing is how she basically got along talking to them. She says that she used to use her voice with other people, um, but they basically said that her voice sounded weird when she tried talking. So now she only really uses it with her family. She's never uses her real voice with anyone else. Um, and then this is where he basically leaves and he comes back, and that's where he starts showing her the money like he had promised, and some of the other stuff, his relics. There was the one where he puts on a mask. He starts like doing this like little dance,
That,
and then
like he literally jump scared her. I'm
yeah,
like, what are you doing? This is so like this is.
but then she
I thought that.
stops. But then she stops and starts laughing out loud because it was like, oh, okay, like this is actually funny kind of thing, right? He's actually trying to be humorous. So
I may have
he,
laughed. I have probably laughed from shock.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
I think that was more of like what it
I
just
think
like.
it is
Oh,
more
you scared
was.
me, and then she's kind of like laughing a bit, right? Like, oh my god, like I can't believe that happened. So he ends up hearing her voice, like it's her actual voice as she's
Mm-hmm.
laughing, right? Um, so he ends up getting a call from his cousin, and they're kind of like he's still with Rin and they're in traffic, kind of thing. And he tells her, he's like, oh yeah, I'm here with Miyuki. She's at my place, and then it shows him talk. It shows Kyoya talking with Rin and um, about the two of them, Yuki and Itsu, about what's going on, kind of thing. And then he's like, I think he actually might be possessive of her, and it's not like jealousy possessive, but it's kind of like the I saw her first, so I don't really want anyone else to kind of get a hold of her. It's like that childhood thing, like no, you can't have that stick. I saw it first. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that thing is basically how they kind of explain it, right? As the two of them are talking, and then Rin ends up asking like, "Well, is there somebody you like that?" And he kind of goes, "No, not at the moment." And then he asks if she's hungry and do you want to go get something to eat, kind of thing. And then it shows the two of them. He's starting his car off, and they're going off to go eat. So at this point, you then see it's back at Itsu and Yuki, and he's trying to get her to laugh again. So he starts randomly just starts tickling her stomach because he wants to hear that laugh again. Um, and then this is of course where she started getting flustered again, and she's like, like, oh no, 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 like don't touch me, kind of thing, right? And then he asked her, he's like, well, before you said I can touch you as long as it's for me. So like, how much does that cover? And then she replies with, she does like this symbol of like everything kind of thing, like she does like a round circle. So to her, she means everything, but he can't fully ask her what it means because at that point he gets a ring on his doorbell. So he goes over, and this is of course where he sees Emma, who's standing outside now. And she's trying to, get back to his place. Um, and then Yuki sees that he's at the door talking to somebody, like at the doorbell camera, I guess, the door camera. So she's like, oh, he must have somebody coming over. So I'll just leave because I don't want to interrupt anything, right? Um, so this is where they go out together and they run into Emma, and he tells Yuki, "I'm gonna walk you home. Like you can just go ahead and I'll meet you down at the bottom," kind of thing. So Emma's standing there. She sees him with Yuki, and she asks, like, "Who is that girl?" And he asks, "Emma, do you got the key?" And she's like, "Yes." And then she ends up seeing, like, Yuki ends up seeing her pass the key over. So Emma's trying to kind of get at
Yeah,
Emma. Or Emma's trying to get at Yuki and trying to get her
trying to make her
flustered.
jealous or
Yeah, so she
something.
starts yelling
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, I'm so
Thank you
here,
for
I'm
letting me
here."
stay over the other night. Is
Yeah, and
basically
she's
is
like
literally what she
screaming at it.
says.
Yeah,
But she does
and
obviously at this moment she does not realize at all that Yuki is deaf. So
exactly. So she's like going through about all this, and she kind of sees again the handing of the keys, and she kind of like, "Oh, are these guys actually dating?" So now she's like really fully thinking that they're dating. Um, so as she's waiting outside for him, she sees Emma again latching onto him like she normally does, and she's like, "Okay, this just proves it. They're now dating." And then she kind of runs off, and then this is right after she does this. This is where he shakes Emma off his arms, kind of like, "Okay, let go of me." And then they exit the building, and he starts to look around. And he doesn't see her, so he tries running off to go and find her, and of course he can't find her. Um, and then you end up seeing her talking with Rin kind of the next day, and she's kind of like talking about what happened, and um, yeah, she ends up talking about everything that kind of happened. Um, I think are they at where are they at? I
hmm?
can't remember where they're at. If they're at the school, if they're at
I don't know. I
I
literally
don't know.
stopped taking. The episode ended with me when she shouted because that was the last thing that was important for me.
It's
So I'm like,
basically
okay, the episode is over
I
for
like it
me.
because the ending. So essentially, they're at some place together. She's talking with Rin, and Rin basically texts Itsu and says, "Okay, I know where. Yeah, I'm with her," kind of thing, and texts their location. So Itsu shows up, and Rin's like, "Okay, I'm gonna leave you guys alone to talk." So the two of them end up talking. I think it's at her place. The two of them end up talking, and she asks him, "Why do you want to learn sign language?" And he says he wants to be able to communicate with her. And then he says, we didn't get a chance to finish our conversation. And he's like, "Okay, so I want to know what you meant after I said this. So where does the touching kind of, you know, what does it extend to? And he goes, "What does this mean? Like, what is your thing mean?" And she says, "It means everything." So it's basically like, you can do everything. It doesn't bother me, right? So then this is where he kind of like takes her hand and kisses it at the end, which again I thought was
Mm.
really cute. And then this leads into episode 6, where it basically starts off with her getting lightheaded because he kissed her hand, and she kind of like almost like stumbles back. And then Itsu basically says, like, I kind of knew why Rin was going to the bar, because I knew she was going to go see Kyoya. And then he goes, "Were you there to see me?" And then he's not looking because they are at Rin's apartment. So he's not looking. So she kind of like has her head down. She's not looking at his face, and she does like a sign for "I love you." And then she looks up, and he's actually not paying attention. He's on a phone call. And
I
he's talking with his cousin. He says that, "I gotta go because we got a booking at the bar tonight." And then he tells her, "Oh, but I'm leaving on Monday, by the way. I'm going to be going overseas again, and I won't be back for over a month." And then he says, "I want you to send me kind of sign language videos so I can practice." And then he says, "When I get back, I'll make sure to make time for you," kind of thing. Um, and in her head, she's asking like, "Why did you kiss my hand?" And yeah, again, it's just really cute. A little bit of a really cute moment before he leaves off to head to the bar. So at this point, then we see Oshi, who runs into Yuki's mom, and she basically kind of blurts out to him that she's actually having a sleepover with Rin.
Wait,
And
wait. He asks her out. They start dating.
this is later on in the episode.
No, 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 because he said that he wanted to ask her out before he left.
Yes,
He made a
this is
statement.
this is later on in the episode.
Hmm.
So
Okay, I
after
thought it
the
was right before she stays the night at Rin's place. That's how I
no
have
no
it in my note.
no
Oh,
no
interesting.
no. So
Okay.
what happens is, she ends up running into Yugi's mom, and she
Mm.
ends up blurting about the sleepover, and he's thinking in his head that it's a lie so that she can spend time with Itsu, and he's getting like this like image in his head of the two of them like they're touching and doing stuff, right? Uh, so so basically he ends up asking her mother,
Mm.
can you actually help me get in touch with Yuki, because I haven't actually talked to her in a while. um, and then that's where the scene cuts off with them, and then we see Kyoya talking to um,
It's a
Itsu, and they're at the
mm.
bar, and he's asking her like, how do you actually feel about Yuki, like what's going on with you two. And he actually tells him that he's captivated by her. At this point, this is where Rin and Yuki show up at the bar, and he said, "Well, what are you doing out so late? It's so close to curfew." And she says, "Oh, I'm actually having a sleepover at Rin's house tonight, so I don't actually have a curfew." Um, and then this is where he asks her to go step outside because he wants to speak to her. And then this is where
Mm.
he kind of like pulls it together as a hug, and he says, "Oh, I'm happy you're here. I didn't actually expect to see you before I went on my trip." And then this
Mm.
is where he says, "I was waiting until we got back to tell you, but I'm just going to tell you now." Um, and he says, "I'm actually going to use sign to tell you." And he says they think they would actually make a cute couple. And she asks why he would say that. Or like, why would you want to kind of date me? Like, why would you think we'd be a good couple? Um, and then he says, because I really want to date you. And she's like, why? She's kind of like, again, she's kind of like confused as to why.
Mm.
And then he says he wishes he could actually take her on the trips with him. And that he's like, he's like, I want you. And yeah. And then he basically asks her out, and she says yes. So that's a little moment. And then they end up going back into the bar with, he's got his arm around her, and then Kyoya and Rin are kind of looking at them like, why are you guys like that? And he's like, oh yeah, because, and again, he's so nonchalant. He's like, oh yeah, we're going out now. and, and Yuki the whole time has got like this like stunned look on her face. She's like in like this cheaply like, you know the face because you do one.
Yeah. So I guess that's the end of this episode.
Yeah, that's it. Like literally, the next thing he says, oh, okay, I'll walk Yuki to your place because I don't think she should be out past curfew. He's like, yes, she's staying with you, but her mother doesn't know that she's out this late. So
Mm.
she's like, I'll walk her home, kind of thing. And um, that's basically he goes to the apartment, and then he kind of like puts his arm around her again. It's kind of like, oh, I'm so happy that I got to see you, kind of thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then she messages her, and she's kind of like ignoring him, like, okay, why is he messaging? Whatever, I'll do it next time, kind of thing. Um, and then as they're walking back, she pays attention to the way that he's holding her hand because she's like, it's different this time because it's more intimate this time. It's not like before he was dragging me, but now he's not. Um, and then Shin shows up at the bar and he's looking for Itsu, and he's like, oh no, he's actually gone. Um, and then Itsu ends up asking her while they're at Rin's apartment, do you have a passport? She says no, but she's gonna get one because she wants to go overseas. And then he tells her, go ahead and get one, and I'll take you with me. And then that's basically how the episode ends. Um, yeah, and then episode 7, he's traveling again.
Yeah, but this focuses more on Yuki as
Yeah,
she's like looking for part-time job to earn money,
yeah,
right? So she can go travel with him. Right.
yeah,
Yuki also meets up with Mio, a childhood friend that she used to play with, and they girl was also learning siding, and this is where Oshi is like again worried about Yuki being taken advantage of because of her being deaf, right?
Mhm.
So it's just a lot of like little things like that in this
Yep.
episode. And then for most of the episodes, he's like not even
this is
here
actually
because like
Oshi's
he's.
sister. It's Oshi's sister.
Oh, okay, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
like she
that's
forgot
generally
like
it.
most of her. She forgot
The
most of
sign
her
language.
siding. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like most of it is just him, Oshi basically like questioning her, like, do you stay at his place a lot? Do you guys do stuff? Those kind of details. She's kind of like, no, we haven't done any of that stuff. He's like,
Mm.
yeah, he's just taking advantage of your disability.
Yeah, and Yuki's like, no, it's not like that sort of thing, right? So.
Yeah, and that's just it. And then again, the rest of it is just him showing her trips. This is where I'm going next. Where's my sign language videos?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, I know our relationship was kind of sudden, but I really do hope it goes well. And he basically is like, look, if there's anything that really actually bothers you, let me know, because I don't want to kind of upset you, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically says, anywhere else you can touch me, but just don't touch my stomach. She thinks back to his tickling.
Mm.
And then, of course, he's like, okay, that's fine. He's like, again, he reiterates, like, when I get back, I'll make time for you. And you can be as clingy as you want. And that he just really misses her. Um, and again, that's it. It's just a series. The rest of it is just a series of their text messages where he's showing her travels and she's talking about
Well,
her struggles of getting turned down for jobs because she's showing like
well,
job interviews.
well, he comes back and they kiss her.
Yeah, that's after. So he's telling her about
Oh,
her
okay.
jobs and stuff. Like at
Mm.
first, like they're just going back and forth. They're talking about text messages, and she's
Mm-hmm.
telling them about her jobs being turned down, and he's like, "Oh, okay." And then she's kind of looking at her phone as she's walking. She's kind of like, "Oh, I haven't heard from him in a while." And this is where she gets a random message from him, and he's like, "Hey, I'm back." And then you want to go for lunch? And then he's like, "Yeah, meet me here." And she's like rushing off to go meet him. And then they're standing across from each other while there's like a train opening. And he mouths to her, "I want to hug you. Is that okay?" And she says yes. And then the train crossing ends, and he walks across, and he sits down. And she goes to like she got her eyes closed. She's like opening her arms, kind of like, "Okay, you can hug me now." And then, like you said, this is where he just jumps up and kisses her. And then this is where she realizes that she misread his lips. That he actually asked for kiss, but she read it as she read his lips as hug.
Mm.
And then they go out to eat at a restaurant, and then they go sit at a fountain. And then he asks her, he says, "I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, which is Sheen." And he says, "Is that okay with you? Is it okay with if we go meet him now?" Um, and she's kind of like a little bit iffy because of her hearing. And he's like, "Oh, I understand. If that's like if you're not okay with going because of that, but just to let you know, like he won't judge you. Like he's actually a good guy." And then she's like, "Okay." She agrees to go meet him. And he shows up and he knocks at the door and he ends up introducing. He's like, "Yeah, this is my girlfriend." And that's basically how the episode ends.
Yeah, so this episode 8 is where they spend a little bit of time at Shin's place.
Yeah,
And Shin seems like he's like very happy for Itsumi here. Cause this is where I was mentioning earlier where like he's like, yeah, he's never really been into a girl like this before.
yeah,
But now Shin is a little bit worried about Emma. Cause like Emma's been kind of slowly snapping. Like you see like little bits and clips of what Emma's up to like as time is going by, and she's just not really taking this okay, right? So uh, and the reason is we get Emma's backstory, right? Well,
yeah.
it's more of Shin's backstory, where him, Emma, and Itomi met at high school, and they were just kind of all friends. And yeah, Emma like I think Emma makes note that she confessed to Itomi like multiple times, and he always turned her down, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So basically, like you see it as um, Sheen actually meets her first.
Yeah, up on the school roof to listening to
Yeah,
music here.
yeah.
Mm.
So she like he kind of sees her first, and he kind of like is more into her a little bit. And of course, Itsu shows up as a transfer student. He's walking through the halls, and all the girls are immediately like, "Oh my god, he's so hot! Look at the hot guy!" And everyone's immediately attracted to him. And you can kind of see moments where Emma's struggling, and it kind of seems like there's almost like a rift with her friends, where there's like this jealousy where everyone wants Itsu. So it's kind of like they're all like fighting about him, kind of thing. Um, and then, of course, he's watching all of this, right? And then she ends up going to the roof to go find Itsu, and he's not there. But she sees him, and she sits down. She's like, "What are you listening to?" And she kind of like immediately takes his earbud out and listens to the music. She's like, "Oh yeah, this is kind of cool." And then she kind of like she ends up seeing him later on. Like, "Oh, here's a music CD. Why don't you listen to it?" Goes home, he listens to it. He tells her, "Yeah, it's actually really good." And she's like, "Yeah, you can keep it. It's okay. It's a gift for you." And then this is where you start seeing him becoming friends with Itsu, and then it kind of brings them all together as like this one group, and that's where he sees again all through high school where Emma was constantly hitting on him, constantly asking him out, and all those kind of things, and he holds back on his feelings because he's like, I don't want to do that to Itsu because he's kind of like maybe it's gonna take him a bit for his feelings to show up and I don't because she's always liked him. I don't want to like come between them, kind of thing, right? So he's always kind of put his feelings to the back burner.
Well, at the
Um,
same point too, he was also dating a girl too,
yeah, yeah.
kind of. Because
Well,
the
it
girl
was like a
comes up and
rebound
is
thing.
like, yeah,
Yeah, he's trying to like he's trying to get over his feelings for her because he's like, well, those two are eventually gonna get together. So he's like, this girl approaches, says, "I really like you. I want to date you." He's like, "Yeah,
hmm
okay."
yeah, and then like the girl kind of comes up and is like angry, like, aren't I your girlfriend? You never eat lunch with me. You're always eating lunch with her. And
Yeah,
then like, what do you like her or something? And then Shin says, I would never date Emma if she was the last girl on earth, sort of thing. Like I would never date her in like my entire life, right?
yeah,
Which is kind of important data, like in the
yes.
anime, but
Well, and that's just it. And and
yeah.
and and then at this moment, Sheen basically says like, "Don't worry, I'll talk to Emma about it. I'll talk to Emma about you two. Like, don't worry about it, kind of thing."
Mm.
Um, and basically, yeah. So he ends up going. Sheen ends up going to the bar, and he ends up talking to. Or no, he calls Kyoya on the phone. He's like, "Yeah, they were just here, and he actually is really happy." Kind of thing. Like the two of them together are really cute. And he was like, "Do you think it would be okay for me to ask him out? Like, do you think he would hurt Itsu's feelings? Because I mean, deep down, maybe he might actually have feelings for her." And he's like, "No, man. Like, go ahead. Like, it's about time you actually decided to actually talk about these feelings." Like, so then Sheen basically texts Emma and says, "When's your next day off? There's something I really need to talk to you about." Um, and they kind of like start working out some kind of an agreement to talk. So he ends up meeting up with her, and she's coming to get her hair done, and he's like, he just can't do it. He chickens out. Um, and then the episode kind of ends where Rin is sitting there talking and saying that the four of us actually go somewhere. So she's now with Itsu, Yuki, and Kyoya. It's like the four of us should really go somewhere sometime. And or maybe they're at school. Maybe they're at school. And Itsu's basically signing it for Yuki, and Rin is impressed that he can actually sign for her. Um, and then there's a suggestion that maybe they should do a sign language boot camp, which he
And
absolutely loves the idea of.
yeah, and that's what episode 9 is.
And that's right in. Yep, so episode 9, where they're starting to prep for the sign language boot camp. So the girls end up going off on a shopping trip for clothes, because, of course. And then again, this is the point where Yuki ends up getting a text from her friend about a job. She says, "I may actually have a job for you. The part-time worker at my aunt's cafe is quitting soon, and I'll talk to her. I'll put in a word for you, so I'll let you know once she quits, and then we can work something out." Um, and at this point, Rina's talking to Yuki about a guy from her job. She's talking about her job, and she's saying how this guy at her work keeps asking her out. She's like, "There's only so many times they can say no." And then, of course, where they leave for the boot camp. So
Yeah, they go take trip to mountain, kind of. It's
yeah,
a little different, right? Than I guess your usual like what you would think like your vacation like episode would be in an anime, but I think it's kind of neat. And then we
yeah,
learned that Kyoya isn't interesting in dating anyone right now because he is in like he was in a 6 year relationship that ended, right? So he
yeah.
doesn't really want to be in a relationship,
Well,
but then
especially
he
with his age,
says,
right?
mm-hmm.
Because
And
he's
then he says
older.
like
So
unless someone like really special came along,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I like
And
the
this is
early parts
when.
where they. I love
Mm-hmm.
the early parts of this where they first get out.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, because they're running around and they're pointing at different things. Like, what is this? And she's
Oh
standing in
yeah,
this
like you have to
mountain.
try to
What is
sighting,
this?
which yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're all just running and pointing at all these different things randomly. Like, what is this? What is this? And then I love when he gets to the frog. He's holding the frog up, and then the girls just run off, screaming. It was funny, but yeah. So Rin and Kyoya, they end up going off together, like you were saying.
And then Rin confesses her feelings,
Yeah,
and twist her ankle in the process, which
yeah.
ends the day early, which is like unfortunate.
Well, and that's the thing. And what started this as a catalyst is her coworker calls her,
Mm-hmm.
and he's kind of like, "Oh, are you busy right now?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm kind of busy." And he's like, "Well, do you mind if I call you later?" She's like, "No." She's like, "If you're gonna ask me out again, no. The answer is always gonna be no." And I really hate when they do this, where they're portraying the guy like he's really pushy. He's like, "Well, why? Well, do you like somebody? Well, is this serious? Well, why can't it be me?" Like, I really dislike that.
Mm.
So, of course, while they're getting injured, it goes back to Yuki and Itsu, and he decides he's gonna go into the water and fish with his bare hands. So he's trying, and he's like splashing fish up in the air and stuff, and then she thinks this is kind of cool, so she goes into the water with her, and her feet are like immediately frozen. He's like, "Of course they are. Of course it's cold. It's April. Like the water's freezing. Like what are you doing?" But of course he picks her up. He picks her up. And he starts like playfully like, "Oh, are you gonna fall in the water? Oh," he's like being extremely playful with him. And then this, of course, where the two of them go into he carries her off into the tent. He's trying to warm her feet up as she's telling him. She's like staring at her phone. He's like, "Well, is there something going on?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm having trouble finding work, and I'm waiting on a friend who said she has a lead. So I'm just checking my messages to see if she actually messages." And then, of course, this is where, like you said, the two of them show up because she's sprained her ankle. Um, and then he's like, "Okay, yeah, we better go. We better head off," kind of thing. Um, yeah, and that's generally it. They just kind of head out, and then they end up going out to eat.
Yeah, I said they go out to eat and then they head back to
Yeah,
his place after.
yeah, and then she ends up telling her mother she's spending the night with Rain, and then it ends as she's in the shower with Oshi calling her, and then Itsu ends up seeing Oshi calling kind of thing,
Hmm.
and then like you say, that's where the episode ends.
Episode 10 starts off with they spending just more time at his house and they
Yeah.
watch like movie together and they sleep in same room together. I don't know if you want to like go into more detail about that sort of thing there.
The only thing that really happens before that is she's kind of sitting as they're watching the movie. She gets the call from her friend, so
Hmm.
she kind of like she puts it on like it's like FaceTime, so she kind of puts it up, gestures it on the bed, and her friend says that yeah, she's like, I talked to my aunt, and she's super cool with you working there, and she's gonna call you about set up a meeting to kind of like talk, kind of thing, and then yeah, that's basically it. Itsu starts to kiss her arm a little bit, um, and then he like goes to kiss her, and he kind of kisses her a little bit, but he's like, I really don't want you to feel like rushed, kind of thing. Um, so the two of them end up like sleeping in separate, like you said, separate beds because he's like, I don't want you to feel rushed. I don't want you to feel pressured. Like I want to take things slow with you. Like we don't really have to rush things, right? Um, and then of course this is where we see Oshi who confronts Itsu about dating Yuki,
Like he
and
went into him, and then he just immediately has a problem with him.
yeah, he's like, I
Like,
hate you. I hate you.
yeah,
He's like,
and then I like how Itsumi's like, well, I don't even know anything about you.
yeah.
You don't know anything about me. Why do you hate me? She's
I
like,
like the beginning part of it. I like the beginning part of it because he's like, hey, I want to talk. Because
and he
like,
just gives him a head knock and just starts
yeah,
walking with
he
him.
just
Right? He's like,
grabs,
yeah, let's
he
go.
just
We go
grabbed the
this
whole.
way.
Yeah. Oh, she's like, I'm not talking to you. Get out of here. He's like, yeah, come on. And he's dragging him along, and you see these different people like, hey, Itsu, is that your friend? Oh yeah, we're gonna go talk. We're gonna be friends. And he's like dragging him along. And so the whole time he's like fighting him, trying to like stop him. My favorite part is he gets in there, he's like, if you ever hurt her, I'm gonna hurt you. And I'm like, really, buddy? Really? You just got dog walk for like 5 minutes. What are you
And
gonna
then
do?
and then like Itsumi is like, oh yeah, do you drink?
Yeah. He's like,
Like he's just like, he's just
maybe at
not
3
even
o'clock.
care. Just
He's like,
not
maybe
even
at 3
care what
o'clock
the
at
hell
these
he's talking
doors.
about.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. He's like, meet me at 3 o'clock at these doors. He's like, look how I'm gonna meet you. Screw you. And he like storms off. But then as he's walking out, so as Itsu's walking out and heading like home, he sees she's standing at the gates waiting for him. So of course the two of them end up going off to the bar, and he's sitting down. He's like, "Here, have a drink," and then the
Yeah,
two of them kind
by
of talk a little bit.
yeah, from no shock that Oishi likes Yuki, right?
Yeah,
That's like not like a shock at all. But
no,
that's like his biggest reason for hitting Itsumi. Like
well that's the only reason
he just
essentially.
it's the only reason that he actually hates.
Yeah,
And he got hooked on sign language because of Yuki, right? And he really enjoyed it because he felt like they had a special connection because that was like their secret code thing. Like they could talk and only they two
yeah,
would know what they are talking about, right? So he
yeah,
felt like a special connection with her, and obviously with Itumi like learning and getting in the way of that, like it was a reason for his hatred towards
yeah,
him.
yeah. So and you get that sense because he apparently gets drunk off 3 beers.
Apparently, yeah.
So
I don't know who does that.
so Itsu ends up walking out with him, and he's like, "Look, I'll walk you home." He's like, "No, I can do it myself." And then they have this moment, like you said, where he's really like opening up, talking about his feelings for Yuki, and he basically tells him like, "Just break up with her. Like you guys should just break up. Like hurry
And
up and break up with her."
he's like, oh, I would if she wanted to, but that's never gonna happen.
Yeah,
She's
he's
never
like,
gonna break up with me, and I'm never gonna
he's like
break
it's a
up with
two-way
her.
street. He's like
Yeah,
it's a two-way
exactly.
street, right? He's like,
Mhm.
I can't, I'm not gonna force my feelings on her, kind of thing, right? I'm not gonna do that. And he's like, well, kind of like you have to, like, because I won't take her from you, but just break up with her. And he's like,
And
no,
then
I'm not giving her up.
and then Itsumi even makes note like even if we met at a different place at a different time, I would still pick Yuki over everybody else. Like
Yeah,
it was like almost like destined for like
yeah.
he's like
He's like, I'm
making note like
captivated
this
by
is
her. It doesn't
destined.
matter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Like it doesn't matter. Hmm.
yeah. And then that's it. And then it just shows the two of them kind of like walking off together.
So episode 11 starts off with Yuki getting her job, which is neat. So that is like really good. Then Oshi helps her out at a combini. Like they
Yeah.
run into each other, and he like helps her
Well,
because
she's waiting
oh
in
no
line.
that's right, she was waiting in line, and when she goes to pay, the cash register clerk like has mask, so she can't
She can't
like
understand him.
hear exactly.
She
She can't
actively
read the
says
lips.
she's waiting for one of the cashiers who she says she knows a little bit of sign language. She does a bit
Mm-hmm.
of sign, so she's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna wait for her." But as she's going to get in line, a guy comes up and just takes her basket and says, "Oh, I'll check you out over here." Like she sees it's a worker, and he's mumbling, I'm gonna." But again, like you say, she can't because of his mask. She doesn't understand what he's saying. Um, so yeah, so as she goes over, um, and she's kind of like standing there looking at him, trying to like figure out what are you asking for a point card? Are you asking for a bag? Like she's like what are you asking for, kind of thing. And then like you said, that's where Ochi walks up and basically like he tells him no, it's okay, and then he signs to her what what he actually wanted. I will say there's one part before this. So Rin is talking with Yuki about Kyoya, showing about a cute little date they were on. And Itsuomi shows up, and that's where Yuki says, I have an interview later for a job. And I like it where he actually teaches her a sign, like a gesture for how Germans say good luck, how they express good luck. And he actually teaches her the sign for it. And you can see her as she's going through her interview, she's doing the gesture as she's like trying to like psych herself up. It's just really cute as she's like going through to get her job. So like you say, outside Oshi's being very nice with her, and he's telling her like, look, like if you need help shopping, like just call me, like I'll come help you, right? Like just ask and I'll come help you.
Yuki has always really been thankful to have Ushi and
Yeah.
being able to sign things with her when no one else around knew about her disability, right, and stuff like that. So like she's very grateful to have him as like friend, but like he's it's gonna be a very long time before he like realized like
Well,
they're
that's just
never
it.
gonna be a thing.
And for her at this moment, she thinks to herself, she's very confused. She's like, why is he being so nice to me today?
That
Like
too. Mm-hmm.
like why is he being different? And then at this moment, as they're standing out front, she gets a text from Itsu, and she's basically like congratulating her for the job, kind of thing. She texts him that she got the job, and then this is where she's like, oh, is that him? And then she's like, yes, and she's like, I hate him. He's like signing to her like I really don't, he's talking to her about like she's talking about him. And he's like, oh, I hate her, kind of thing, and she goes to sign like how nobody hates Itsu. He's so nice, he's so caring, and as she's signing, he grabs her hand. And she says it's one of the first times he's ever tried to stop her while she was signing. And she's like very confused by it. And this is where he kind of like signs to her. He's like, if he says or does anything to make you cry, let me know and I'll go deal with him.
Yeah, okay, buddy.
I
Yeah,
know,
good
I
luck with
know.
that one. You're definitely gonna deal with him. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Like,
And then this is of course where we see Shin who's calling Emma again, and he says like, look, like when are you free next? Like I really actually have, we really have to do something. Like maybe this weekend. He's like, I really actually have to tell you something. So they end up deciding to make plans for the weekend. Um, and then this is where we end up seeing Yuki on her first day of work, and everything seems to go really really well
yeah, it does
on her
really.
first day.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, it does. She does well at her first like job, which is really nice.
Yeah,
And then Emma and Shin meet up at park,
yeah.
and Shin tells Emma that Itumi is dating Yuki, right? And this is where Shin confesses to Emma, and this is weird because I'm not a big like, oh, okay, cool. I know that you like this person. Well, guess what? They can't. They are dating someone else. Oh, well, now you could just date me.
Well, yeah, because like
Ah,
in my head, I'm like sitting here like, okay, he mentions it several times that Itsu has been Emma's obsession since high school. And he,
mm-hmm.
he mentioned several times as he's talking about like telling her that, oh my god, this is gonna crush her. Like I don't know how she's gonna react to this. Like this is gonna crush her. But but in saying this, he thinks in his head, okay, but I'm gonna tell her that I love her. Like what
That
what is your thought process to
that's.
think like this is the right
I was
time?
so shocked. I
Like Yeah, like how is this the right time to tell somebody
Like that was
like I
literally my
love you?
reaction. I was just
Yeah,
like, "Oh yeah, your heart is broken, but I love you."
I
Like
love
I was
you. And I like the moment
ski. Like
and I like
why?
and I like and I won't say I don't want to say disappointed, but I was a little bit surprised that Emma's reaction wasn't a little bit more like I wasn't expecting like a complete meltdown, like flip out, but a few tears, a
Yeah,
little
I would
bit.
expect like show some emotion. Like
She just basically goes,
this guy that
"Oh,
you've been loving for like how
yeah,
long? You've been
yeah,
loving this guy for like your whole life. You've been
yeah,
having like secret like romance for him.
yeah."
It's not even secret. He knows
No,
about
no,
it.
she knew
That's the
about it.
thing. It's not even secret. Itomi knew
No,
about
and
it.
that's just it, right? And
Everybody knew about it.
and again, she's like sitting there, and her only reaction is, "Oh," and I was like, what are we doing?"
But
like,
okay,
like
I think like her reaction was very tame in an extent. I still would have liked to see like some tears,
some
but
tears or something.
yeah, but I
Um,
understand like she probably knew or
I
like
think in a
had a
little bit.
realization that she
I
she
think she
knew
did a
to
little
a
bit.
little bit, and
Yeah.
she was almost in her heart like trying to be like
Okay.
not accepting it, not realize,
Yeah.
not wanting to fully accept it is
Yeah.
happening. And
Well,
then, but see, that's the thing is like when Shin told her that should have snapped her heart and she should
I
have
think it's.
cried.
I think in a
Like
lot
that's
of
what should
ways
have happened.
it should have been something. I think a little bit of tears. Like I knew she understood something was going on. I knew she understood that he had feelings for Yuki, and she knew
Mm-hmm.
that right away when he abandoned her in the doorway and ran
To
off
go
looking
to
for her.
Yuki.
Yeah,
Yeah,
looking for her.
exactly.
And
Mm-hmm.
I knew she kind of was standing there, and I knew she was like, okay, this actually could be something. This actually could be something serious. And I think in her head, that's when she was trying to deny it, and then he kind of tells her, and she's like, "Oh, oh, it actually is that." I still would have liked tears. I would have liked something, some emotion. But like you say, at this point, this is where he turns and he says, I'm here for you, but not as a friend. Like I'm actually here for you. I want to date you, and you should just pick me." And she's surprised by his confession. He's like, "What? Like, where's this coming from?" He's like, "It's always been there." She's like, "No, on the rooftop, you clearly said there was
Yeah,
no
that
way
you'd
you
never
would fall
date
for me."
me. Exactly.
And he's like, "That was a misdirection." And then she's kind of
I'm
like again
not a big.
surprised. She's like, "Uh."
I also don't really like that sort of thing. Like,
I
oh,
understood
I hate
from
you, but
him.
I actually love you.
I understood
Eh.
his position at that time because
Oh, I understood it too.
in
Mm-hmm.
his head, he was still thinking there was something between Itsu and her. Like Itsu liked her deep down, and I
Mm-hmm.
think in his weird way, he was like, okay, if Itsu is such a nice guy that if he knows I like her, he's gonna step aside. But because her feelings have always been for him, I don't want to come between them. So that was his whole
Mm-hmm.
like reason he said it kind of thing. But again, like you said, I don't. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So then we see Yuki sitting at home and she's in her PJs and she gets a text from Itsu who's like, "Hey, are you awake?" And she's like, "Yes." And he's like, "Okay, give me a few minutes or give me a bit." And she's kind of like waiting for his text. She's like, "Okay, he hasn't texted me a bit. Like, what's going on?" And then he gets a text like, "Oh, I'm outside." She's like, "What?" And she goes out to the balcony and he's just standing there. And then she tries to talk to him. She says she's having a hard time because of the lighting, because of how dark it is in the light. She's having a hard time understanding what he's saying. So she kind of motions like, "I'm going to come down." And he's like, "No, don't bother. I'm going to go home." He just shows up. He's like, "Okay, I'm going to go." So that as he turns and
Again,
walks
like this
away,
felt completely like
yeah,
this was a waste of time.
I know,
I'm sorry.
I know. So she ends up coming outside and she like runs over to him, and then she ends up tripping. He kind of like places,
Classic, of
yeah,
course.
he places his arm out and he touches
So
her.
that's another thing. Is like I'm sorry, you don't see people trip.
Not that much.
I can't. I honestly cannot tell you the last time I legitimately tripped
Yeah, I
ever in
slip
my
all the
life.
time. I slip all the time, but we got
Yeah,
ice up
because
here.
I suit. Like that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, like for me, like I like maybe I stumbled a little bit because like maybe
Oh
I
yeah,
hit
yeah,
a sidewalk like odd, but like I've never like, oh no, I trip and I'm gonna actually fall all the way to the
yeah,
ground. Like I can't that I cannot tell you the last time that has
yeah.
happened.
Oh,
Like
I
it's
know.
just so unrealistic, and it's like one of my. I'm annoyed by this cliche
I
anyway.
know. So we
Though
end
I
up
do
seeing.
like they talk on they
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
on the swing at
yeah.
night. I think this interaction here was very cute. I like
It
this one
was.
before the end of the episode. Hi.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Like they sit together and they talk about their trips and stuff. He talks about his trips and he's like, oh no, they talk about their they haven't really seen each other much, and
Mm-hmm.
he says he
Because
wanted to
she's
go out on a
working
date.
and yeah,
Yeah,
he's busy and stuff like that. But
yeah,
yeah, and
and
like
he
that's the
says,
thing is like they have never actually been on an official date though.
and that's what she
So
says. She thinks in her head, she's like, yeah, that's actually true. She's like, we hung out a lot, but we've never actually
mm-hmm.
gone out on an official date. And then he says, you get to choose. He's like, we'll go wherever you want to go. And then that's where the episode ends.
And then episode 12 is the date though. I thought this really like this was the best episode of the entire anime
It
for
really
me.
was.
It
It
really
really was.
showcased the best, like the highlight of their relationship, right?
Yeah,
Like they finally like almost make it to they finally reach the finish line of their relationship
yeah,
in a way
yeah,
where like I love how they do that thing where they reminisce about the time that they first met on the train, which was great because it brings you all the way back to episode 1 and stuff like
yeah,
that. And it's really neat because he really enjoys her in this moment because he's like, okay, so this is how she views the world. Like she's
yeah,
taking all these pictures of all the cute, like the very cute scenery and the flowers and
yeah,
the food and stuff like that. And it's like for someone, and he's like, this is like the first time he truly realizes like sight is everything for her because she can't hear,
yeah,
right? She
yeah.
can't even she because she can't hear, she can't speak. So like for she takes everything into sight. So like pictures are very valuable for her, right?
Hmm.
To like capture moments in time more so than maybe like you and me, right?
Yeah,
So this was a really good way for this was the first time the anime was shown from her actual perspective on life.
yeah,
Like we learned a
yeah.
little bit about it, but this was the first time where even as the viewer you truly understood it, right? And I really
Hmm.
enjoyed the picture that they took in front of it with the wisteria
Hysteria.
vines
Yep,
together. That was super cute. I really like that. The
yep.
the bento box and like there's a lot of like so cute things. They go on a little boat ride together. And we did learn a little bit about Itsumi's childhood here, where he struggled with being in Germany because like he's like, oh, I don't want to learn this language, right? I just want to
Yeah,
like I know English, I don't want to learn this language. So, but that's kind of when he fell in love with learning language, right? So, um, I thought that was like really neat to get a little bit of his backstory. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Like I
I
say,
don't know if you want to
that's pretty much the
talk more about
episode.
the data.
Well,
There's
like I
some.
said, at the beginning, you got to see it where she's explaining to Rin, where she's like trying to plan the date, and in her head, she's sitting there going, "Okay, but he's traveled the world. What realistically can I show him that he hasn't seen?"
Right,
And
right.
and this is where Rin basically says to her, like, "It doesn't matter where you guys go. He's gonna be happy just because he's with you." And it
Exactly.
kind of
Yeah.
puts things into perspective for her at that moment. It kind of like snaps her in where she's like, "Oh, you know what? You're actually right."
Like we're
Um,
actually in like that's the first snap for like oh yeah this is like real relationship
yeah,
thing.
this is actually
Hmm.
like a real thing. And then, like you say, they go out on their date together. I think it's funny where they awkwardly like he starts to like he misreads her sign for like she goes to sign something to him and he misreads it as like her signal for kiss me. And he was like, "Oh," he goes, "Oh, that makes sense." He's like, he goes, "I thought it felt a little random." And then she does this thing where she goes and gives him like a thumbs up. And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he like moves the bento and he goes to kiss her. And then he stops. He's like, "Wait, this still feels random." And then she's like, and then she explains, she's like, "No, this is a sign for no. I was actually telling you no." And it was again, it was just like this little funny moment. And she's like, "I really don't like. I think it'd be too much public display of affection if we kind of like did that here." Um, kind of thing. And then she asks him. I love this moment because she asks him, "Is it okay if we cuddle though?"
Mm.
And then he reiterates the same thing to her. It's okay as long as it's with you because you have my everything. And I really like that, again, that tie back connection to earlier on, like you said. At this point, the only other thing that we see is we see Emma talking to her friend about the whole Sheen situation and kind of like I don't know what to do. Like I don't know what to say to him. Like it's been a few days now and she's like contemplating everything again about this. And then, like you say, it talks about him with being in Germany and the struggle to communicate. And then it's like you said, it shows his connection where he made that connection with somebody while saying, "I want to learn soccer," and it was the first time I want to play soccer, and it was the first time he said that he was really understood from another language, and then that hooked him. He was like, I just knew this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted to do. This is what I wanted." So as she's sitting at home, she's reading the text because he tells her, "Don't read this text now. Wait till you get home." And she's reading his whole backstory about his love of traveling and stuff. And then she starts piecing it together, all the pictures, because she's like, oh, his dream and his passion is teaching and connecting with other people. That's why he goes to schools and sees, children in other countries. A lot of his pictures, he has them because it was his tie-in, right? When I was a kid, this is how I connected, right? So it's like I want to show them, how fun it is to communicate with somebody not from their country, right? Um, and then it starts showing again the tie-ins of everyone else. So is Sheen coming out of his place, and Emma's there, and he says like, I can't actually believe you asked me out on a date." And then it shows the two
Yeah,
of them walking away holding hands, and then
and
it
then
shows
Vin and
Kyoya giving
Kyoya, yeah.
Rin a
Mm-hmm.
ring. He gives her a ring, and she's like, "Oh my god, it's so beautiful." And then it's not like a wedding ring or anything, but just like a promise ring, if you will. She's like, "I can't believe we're actually dating." Um, and then it ends up showing a brief moment with OC where he's like contemplating getting a book, and his friend shows up, and she's like, "Just get it. You've been looking at it a while. Just get it." Kind of thing. And then at the end, it shows it's you and her like they're like heading towards each other to meet, and she's looking at her passport, and she kind of like waves to him, and then it shows the two of them meeting, and he sees that she has her passport, and he says, "Now we can actually travel together," and like, where do you want to go? And then that's how the anime ends, basically.
Yeah, I thought the ending was very cute, where you kind of
Yeah,
just see everyone kind of gets their own like happy ending,
yeah.
a little bit, except for Oishi, but
Well, you can kind of get the sense that the girl he's talking to, there may be something there, but again, it's whatever. I don't really
okay.
care.
So, what is your rating of this anime?
For me, like I said, based on everything, like there was a little bit of that, like you said, the handsy
You know
stuff,
what
and
you have to do.
yeah, I had the early stuff where it was,
You
again,
know,
where
you know what you have to rate it.
hey, be quiet, you. So you see where no influencing the judges. So again,
No.
where he's not being there, and all these things. So
Yeah, it's such a terrible anime.
it's not. It was deep. It was
No,
better.
it's
It was
bad.
better this time than I
It was
remembered the
bad.
first
It
time.
was when I first watched this anime. If I rated this the first time I watched it, I would give it like a 6 point
Oh yeah, yeah,
something.
6.5.
Like,
I was in the
yeah,
same
it'd
range.
been
Like
like
I said, it
six and a
wasn't.
half or something. Yeah.
Now
It was
watching it this
bad.
time around, a lot of the things that I had issues with the first time were not quite as prominent as what I remember from the first time I watched it.
Me
Because
too. Me too.
so I remember like him being missing a lot more, and like I had in his head like he wasn't there like 90% of the anime.
Yeah,
They
but he
didn't
actually
utilize background
was,
characters were like
and
barely
they
used.
did. Yeah.
I know.
Mhm.
Like I said, like watching it this time, I was like, oh okay. This is actually better than I expected. So for me, I had this one. I know things didn't bother me as much as I know it bothered you. So for me, I
Mhm.
had this one at about an 8. I had it about 7, 9, 8 is where
Mhm.
I had it coming in on.
Okay. Okay. Well, this might be the last episode, everyone. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I haven't. I'm not like. Wait, I'm not that far off from. I have 7.8.
Yeah.
Right, it's
Yeah.
like still good. It's still very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But there's just a few things that the over aggression from him, I guess, in the beginning. The weird animation with the dips was just a little bit like the whole
Yeah.
time was just kind of weird to look at. Uh, that's kind of like my two major complaints. And for me, like I felt like in the beginning their relationship wasn't more so, oh, they want to start relationship. It more felt like he only wanted to be her friend
Yeah.
because he wanted to learn sign language. Like, oh, good, another language I can learn, right? And I didn't
Her
really feel a
perspective was love.
connection.
Her
Yeah,
perspective was love.
hers was that was fine, but
It
his
was him.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And for
Yeah.
me, I was just like, I don't know if I really like believe in the love story, but as it went on, I got more on board. I just still struggled with him just not being there
Yeah. Yeah.
fully. I had a problem with, and it just felt like I felt like the relationship. I felt like the episode 12 when they went on the date should have been when he confessed. I would have been
Yeah.
more like inclined to be like, "Oh, that was cute to see the full progression." But see,
Yeah.
they started to date though in what, like episode 10?
No, it was before that.
It was before that. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like way before that actually.
Yep. They ended up starting to episode 6.
See, and that's my problem. I just don't. Yeah, yeah, it is episode 6. Yeah, he
Yeah.
has to out, and she
Yeah.
says, "Yeah, see, so like they are dating literally they're half the anime, and for me, I just feel like it should have started at the end of episode 12,
Yeah.
where they're like, oh, like we're dating, let's celebrate by going like they should have had their first date, and then they should have become like relationship, and then they should have been like, well, now that you got passport, now we get to go like somewhere for the
Travel.
first time as
Yeah. Yeah.
couple. And I've been like, oh my god, they've been so cute, so great, because you would have seen the progression. I just felt like when they became couple, just felt a little bit too early for me. It just didn't work from my perspective. So I couldn't give it an it for me. I couldn't give it like a B, right? I had to give it like a C. So that's why I have it at. It's just high. It's like it's still good. Like
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
if I'm bored one day and want to watch an anime, I can see myself like just throwing this one on. But it's not like one of those ones where I'm like, I have to watch it once a year, sort of
Yeah.
thing. Because there's some animes that I have to watch once a year, which we are getting to very soon. So I'm
Yes, we are.
excited for that. But yeah, I have it at 7.8, and yeah, that's kind of where I rest my case on that one.
All right, I think that's it for today's episode.
Yeah, actually, a fun little thing is this is the last episode from February. So yeah, February was the month of love, so we covered a lot of romance anime in this month.
Yep.
Our next month, if you are interested, is our isekai animes, right? So we're gonna be covering a lot of isekai anime in March. So hopefully you guys will come for that as well.
Yep.
I'm very excited to see like some of those anime.
I'm
Because
tired.
I know a lot of them I haven't really watched. So
I know. I'm tired of winter, so I decided this was going to be Isekai month. I want to be taken away from winter. I want to be drifted away.
don't worry, spring is coming soon.
A spring without you.
No, not yet, not yet.
All right, guys. So that's today's episode.
Okay,
So-
bye bye everybody.
So again, just to make sure, again, we appreciate everything, all the support you guys give us. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify. We're also on TikTok and Instagram. Again, like, share, comment. Make sure to keep the engagement up. We really want to hear from you guys. So kind of make sure to reach out and kind of let us know how we're doing. If you like us,
And
hate us,
also-
whatever.
And also in March, that's when we're gonna start our next big like project thing. So that
Yes.
is so exciting. So I hope you guys like that too.
Yeah, make sure to pay attention to all of our socials. We'll keep you guys updated on things. So, again, thank you guys. We really appreciate it. See you guys next episode. Maple out.
Matane!